Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Muhammad Gitrif Gustoma Putra from Islamic Economics 2019. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Ms. Reni Ayu Puspita as the lecturer in MPK Bahasa Inggris B and all of my friends who have spared your time to listen to my presentation. Thank you. I'm glad to see you all. Today, I would like to present about the effectiveness of BI 7 days repo rate in boosting Indonesia's economic growth, mechanism, and limitation. So here's the overview of this presentation. We would like to discuss about definition, mechanism, and limitation of this policy in boosting our economic growth. So before we talk about BI 7 days repo rate, we should know what is the meaning of monetary policy. Monetary policy is a policy that is conducted by central bank through money supply, control to achieve desired economic condition. There are various ways central bank can do this policy. One of them is through BI 7 days repo rate. What is the meaning of BI 7 days repo rate? BI 7 days repo rate is a reference interest rate that is used by central bank to move economy to the favorable condition. But the main question is, how can BI 7 days repo rate increase our GDP? Recall that in classical macroeconomic theory, a decrease in interest rate will increase investment. And if we count GDP by expenditure approach, we simply add consumption, investment, government spending, and net export to arrive at the number of GDP. An increase in investment will also increase our GDP by multiplier effect. So here's the current trend in BI 7 days repo rate. Per 19 March 2020, BI 7 days repo rate is 4.50%, which is lower than the previous period. The central bank has decided to decrease its rate because coronavirus pandemic. The existence of this pandemic makes investors less concerned about putting their money into our financial system, therefore make the investment component of GDP decrease. If central bank doesn't take any corrective action to overcome this problem, our GDP probably will decrease and our economy will fall into recession and depression. So our central bank decreased its rate to maintain the investment component in our Indonesia. So what is the mechanism? Lower interest rates stimulate consumption. Why? Because lower interest rate means that the consumer can apply for loan, and also they can get more loan at a cheaper rate than before. And the second reason why lower interest rates stimulate consumption is because lower interest rate will demotivate consumer to put their money into the bank, and so they will take their money and use it for consumption today, so the consumption will probably increase. And lower interest rate stimulate investment because a lower interest rate means a lower opportunity cost of investment. Instead putting their money into the bank, into the financial system, the firm will take their money from the bank and use it to build infrastructure, equipment, and building. And the last reason why lower interest rates stimulate GDP is through net export. A lower interest rate will demotivate many people to put their money into our bank, so there is a high capital outflow from our economy, and so this in turn will cause depreciation of rupiah. A depreciation of rupiah will decrease our import of goods and service and increase our export, because now our product is relatively cheaper than before. So consumption, investment, and net export is a part of aggregate demand. An increase in aggregate demand will in turn shift the aggregate demand curve to the right, and so our economy will reach its new equilibrium at a higher national income, higher GDP, and higher inflation rate. And this is Indonesia's GDP from 1994 until 2019. Per 2019, our GDP growth is 5.0%. This is very well because other economy, emerging and advanced economy, experiencing a lower GDP growth. Probably they will experiencing recession and depression due to this pandemic. But our economy is estimated still still positive growth, 5.0% this year or less, but still positive. And so we could say that BI 7 days repo rate is effective in mobilizing economic resource because it can maintain GDP growth, still positive. Is there any limitation of this policy? Yes, the current situation, COVID-19 pandemic, limit the ability of interest rate to move economic resource. Why? Because during this situation, a decrease in interest rate doesn't mean that the firm will increase their investment directly. Why? Because if they face with this situation, they will wait until the economic condition recover, and so they will postpone some investment. And so it doesn't mean that when the central bank decrease its interest rate, the investment component will increase. Instead, there is a high and massive capital outflow from our economy, which in turn is very bad to long-term economic growth. The conclusion of this presentation is BI can use monetary policy through alter BI 7 days repo rate to increase Indonesia's economic growth. A decrease in interest rate will boost economic growth through consumption, investment, and net export, which is the part of aggregate demand. However, current situation makes interest rate policy less effective in mobilizing economic resource to achieve economic growth. I think that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, everyone.